Hello. Well, here we go. Um, A Romp in Time 3. Well, A Romp in Time 1 and 2 were written in Check's Notes 2010 or 2009, 2010. And I thought that was the end. I mean, the first one was a one-off. And then I thought I'd write another one, and that was that. And then I went on to other things, as you may have seen. But then I kept on writing and other things. And then come 2016, I thought, yeah, I quite like these people, these four people, Frankie and Stewart, and of course Anne Boleyn and Var. So I thought, yeah, let's give it a go. So up comes A Romp in Time 3, Betrayal. So off we go again. It's not, thankfully, as confusing as A Romp in Time 2. In fact, it's quite mellow. But I enjoy writing it. It's more characters, more fun, and some rather shocking revelations, especially between Frankie and Stewart. And I hope you enjoy it. Bye-bye. But, however, I thought this might be a good time to add that originally I was going to, because I've got 85 of these little films to make, I was going to start with the first book and then just go through all of the 85 novels. But A Romp in Time, consisting of 7 novels, was going to take quite a long time, because I think the last one was done somewhere around about 2020. But I had a couple of kind people write to me and say that they liked the novels, and I thought it would be opportune to, instead of waiting 85 days in order to get to the last one, so I thought that I would put out the 7 novels rather quickly. So I'm doing the 7 novels every other day, if that makes sense. And by the way, I've just listened to the AI version of what you're about to hear, and it's not so as uncomplicated as what I remember. You've got to be on your toes a little bit. I had, well, if you, I couldn't write this stuff nowadays if I tried. I must be losing it. Getting old, that's what it is. But, I mean, it's fairly clear in the book. It must be me that's just simply losing it. However, again, waffling, too much waffling. I'll let you go.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to pull apart complex stories, find the core knowledge, and basically give you the inside track so you're up to speed.
And today, we're looking at something really intense, a sequence of events involving time travel veterans, temporal chaos, reality itself collapsing.
Yeah, and it all gets kicked off by something deeply human, doesn't it? Grief. and a desperate wish.
Exactly. We're looking at a group who thought they'd achieved peace, a quiet life. But the fundamental rules of time physics, they don't really care about retirement plans.
Every actually ripples outwards infinitely. And these guys, these veterans, they get dragged back in. Not by some big bad, but by an ordinary person, a civilian with a simple, devastating threat, exposure.
Our mission today is to really trace how things unraveled, how one attempt to fix a personal tragedy leads to multiple realities just coming apart at the seams.
It's this tension, isn't it, between wanting to fix one life and potentially wrecking the whole planet's stability. They thought they were done with adventures. Oh boy, were they wrong.
And what hits you straight away is the cost of that quiet life they built. Being settled made them, predictable, vulnerable. All that experience they had suddenly became a weakness.
Okay, so let's ground this. We need to start with the narrator, the anchor for this whole mess. Molly. Her existence alone is kind of a temporal head-scratcher. Can you walk us through her unique spot in the 21st century?
Molly is, she's the real-time anomaly in the group, born 1781, pulled out of her life in London, 1801.
Just snatched away.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And now? She's living in 2024, looks maybe mid-50s, but technically she mentions thinking she might live till 2055. Imagine that. A woman from the Georgian era contemplating modern life expectancy.
And the sources are really specific about why she's so isolated, living in that cottage near Lyme Regis. Drave set her up there in the mid-90s, right? It wasn't just for the sea air.
No, definitely not. It was pure necessity. Survival. When she first arrived in the 20th century, how she spoke was a massive red flag.
How?
Well, the sources say it was the dialect of the absolute lowest class in late 18th century London. Really guttural, unsophisticated, archaic words, the pronunciation. Anyone hearing her would know instantly she wasn't from around here, or, when. Hugely dangerous for keeping their secret.
But she's adapted since then, clearly. She even boasts a bit, doesn't she, about using four-syllable words like autonomy. She's learned. She's survived.
Absolutely. She's not just passively observing. She's actively integrating. And she's financially okay, too. Vaugh gives her money each month from her own, quote, excessive income.
That financial setup, it signals the stability they thought they had, doesn't it? And Molly even wrote down their past adventures.
Right, a Romp in Time 1 and 2, limited private edition. But it wasn't just for posterity. The sources say it was basically her textbook for learning modern English. Chronicling the chaos helped her fit in.
Sounds like they'd earned a break. Timus, the original bad guy alien, was gone. Dealt with. The others were settling down.
They really were. You had Frankie and Stewart finally pass their weird anxiety separation thing. Yeah. They had a quiet civil ceremony. And crucially for what comes next, they adopted twin girls. Fraternal twins, Bonnie and Sarah, 12 years old. Real roots in the 21st century.
But not everyone found it easy. Anne Boleyn, the former queen, she struggled.
Massively. A profound identity crisis. The sources mentioned finding her online, constantly looking up Tudor history, trying to reconnect with who she was.
It must have been incredibly difficult, hiding your entire past, especially from the kids. Being Queen of England one day, and the next.
The psychological weight must have been immense. And then there's Vaugh, the alien, over 1,600 years old, and George, Anne's brother. They moved out of Highcross Castle.
To a fancy place in Whitechapel, right. 4 stories, luxury. But Vaugh's story takes an ironic turn.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Vaugh spent millennia basically enslaved, controlled, finally gets total freedom, everything she ever wanted. And what happens? She's bored. Utterly, profoundly bored.
All that trauma, all those memories just bubbling up in the quiet.
Seems like it. That hard-won stability just wasn't fulfilling. George, though, he was embracing it. Off traveling, planning a month in L.A. Polar opposites almost.
So Vaugh's boredom, do you think that maybe made her a bit careless? Left the door open, metaphorically speaking, for the chaos Jenny brought. Maybe leaving Molly's book around wasn't just an oversight.
It certainly suggests she wasn't fully present, maybe detached. That comfortable life, like you said, it was fragile, just a thin veneer. And yeah, winter 2024, it shattered. Vaugh calls Molly total panic. Says it's time-traveling sort of trouble.
And they all descend on Molly's cottage, looking rough, exhausted. And they've got 2 strangers with them, Jenny and Smithers.
Vaugh confirms she still has the travelers, the time machines, deactivated.
Yeah.
But the real problem this time, it wasn't the tech. It was the secret itself. Someone knew.
Okay, let's unpack the catalyst, Jenny Wally. Her story is the engine driving this whole crisis, and it starts with heartbreak.
Yeah, devastating loss. Back in 2015, she was only 25. Her husband, Mark, a motorbike courier, killed. Hit by a lorry driver who was illegally on his phone.
Just senseless. Sudden, violent, completely preventable, and the grief, the guilt. It consumed her for years, didn't it? Grief counseling, working a routine job in Trinity Square.
Her life just stalled, defined by that single moment of loss.
Right.
Then 4 years later, summer 2019, she sees something impossible.
Near the Tower of London, right, on her lunch break.
Exactly. She sees two people under a tree, a short, bald man that's Frankie, and a woman, Anne, and then, poof, they vanish. Instantaneously. With a violet light, she drops her yogurt. She's in such shock.
And we know from the earlier accounts, Romp in Time, that this actually happened. Frankie and Anne nipped back to 900 AD to check tower records, so Jenny wasn't imagining it.
Not at all. For her, it was real, undeniable, an impossibility that suddenly made her deepest wish seem, well, possible. If people can vanish, maybe reality isn't fixed, maybe death isn't final.
And that one sighting fuels the next 4 years of her life, searching, trying to find them, trying to prove she wasn't crazy.
Her grief basically transformed into this laser-focused obsession, gave her a purpose almost.
Until February 2024. She spots Frankie again, near the old Royal Mint.
She knew him instantly. The shape of his head, his ears, she'd memorized them. She follows the whole group. Frankie, Stewart, Anne, Va, George, the twins, to the Tower of London. And she watches them.
She's quite observant, isn't she? Figures out Stewart and Frankie are a couple, adopted the girls.
Yeah, pretty sharp. But what's really telling is what she notes about the others. Va, George, Anne. She senses they don't quite fit with the men. Writes in her journal they seem thrown together by some external force. She picked up on the unnaturalness of their connection, the time travel baggage.
So even trying to act normal, the cracks were showing. And then Anne makes a critical mistake.
Anne, probably just lonely, craving a female friend, maybe a bit naive about the modern world. She invites Jenny to George's leaving party at Va's house in Whitechapel.
Undermining decades of secrecy in one friendly gesture.
Completely. And at the party, Jenny makes her move. Says she needs the bathroom, but heads for Va's study instead. That journalistic instinct kicking in.
And she notices something odd, right? The elevator buttons.
7 buttons. But the house looks like it only has 5 floors. Immediately flags something hidden. Secret levels. The kind of thing you'd expect if, say, someone had advanced technology or secrets.
And there it is, Molly's book, A Romp in Time, the beginning. Just left out. Va's boredom, maybe. Carelessness.
Could be. Jenny steals it. At first, she thinks it's just, bad fiction, poorly written. But then she reads the bit about Trinity Square, Frankie and Anne vanishing into the tree, the violet light.
Her exact memory, down to the detail.
That's the moment. It clicks. It's all true. They're time travelers. And if they can travel time, maybe they can undo Mark's death. It's not just sci-fi anymore. It's personal. It's desperate.
So the group realizes the book is gone. Canny stations, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Va figures it out quickly. Does some asking around near Jenny's flat. The local takeaway owner confirms Jenny's husband died years ago. 9 years. So Jenny was lying. Operating under false pretenses the whole time.
But Jenny doesn't wait for them. She confronts them, doesn't she? On her own terms. At Frankie and Stewart's place.
Yep. Drops the bombshell. I read the book. I know you travel in time. I know Anne is Anne Boleyn. Just lays it all out.
And the demand?
Simple. Brutal. Use the time machine, the traveler, go back to June 15th, 2015, and stop Mark from dying.
Va must have pushed back hard. The risks.
Immense. Va lays out the core principle, the central warning of all time travel stories, really. Saving one person has the potential of altering everything on Earth. The ripple effect. It's physics.
But Stewart and Frankie, their reaction is different, isn't it? It's not about physics for them.
Not at all. This is where you see the human element override the cosmic stakes. They are terrified, not of timeline collapse necessarily, but of losing their life, their house, their stability, the twins.
Exposure would mean losing everything. Stewart has money, assets. Va has illegal tech, gold in the cellar.
Exactly. If Jenny talks, they're finished. Arrested, probably.
Yeah.
The kids taken away. Their desire to protect that normal, settled life. It completely outweighed Va's warnings about temporal mechanics. It's a really powerful point about what people prioritize under pressure.
Jenny knew exactly where to twist the knife. She gives them 24 hours. Threatens to copy the book, leak it to the Sunday papers through her contacts.
The threat was real, immediate, potentially life-ending for their current existence. So they vote democratically. And the vote is to comply.
Unbelievable pressure. So Stewart and Jenny go back.
They do. Stewart pilots the Traveler. June 15th, 2015. He's cautious at first, uses the viewing mode, sees their old apartment upstairs, sees Mark getting ready, his scooter in the hall. confirms the scene.
They interfere somehow. The sources are a bit vague on the exact method, just that they stopped the accident.
Right, the focus is on the consequence. They succeed in preventing Mark's death. Stewart pulls Jenny straight back to 2024, no messing around in the past. But the second they step out of that bubble,
Everything's changed.
irrevocably. Welcome to alternate reality 1, AR1.
And the change hits Stewart immediately, personally.
Like a physical blow. The flat they expected isn't theirs. It's clean, different furniture. And there are two women there. One is his mother, Claire Evans, who was dead in his original timeline. The other is his sister, Jo, he never knew he had. Stewart just collapses, faints dead away.
Proof positive. Va was right. Saving Mark didn't just save Mark. It rewrote Stewart's entire existence.
And changes are huge. In AR1, Stewart finds out he's not gay. He's married to Jenny Evans. The timeline literally wove the blackmailer into the fabric of his new life. He owns a local pharmacy, Evans Chemist.
And the others, Frankie and Va.
They still exist, but
Yeah.
inverted, almost like caricatures. Frederick Bradshaw, who is Frankie, but thinner, not bald, is now a servant. A house manager for the AR1 versions of Stewart and Frankie, a couple named Charles Martin and Wilfred Barnard.
So gay equivalents exist, but it's not them.
Right. And Anne Lanzell, the former queen, is now just their barrister who happens to lodge with them. Frederick only knows her as Miss Garcia from his tango class.
Wow. It's like the universe just shuffled the deck, keeping the players but changing all their roles and relationships. A complete rewrite. Stewart and Jenny are linked. The others are diminished. It's bizarre.
So Stewart and Jenny are stuck, stranded in this alternate reality that just feels fundamentally wrong. Stewart tries his phone straight away, tries to call the others.
But nothing, right? The connections just fail. Because those versions of his friends, his real friends, don't exist here.
Exactly. The reality split cut them off completely. They only had these AR1 echoes.
Jenny, meanwhile, goes to see Mark, the man she did all this for.
And it's brutal. She finds him alive, yes. But he's married to someone else. They have a son, Nathan. And in this reality, Jenny is the one who's dead. Mark thinks she died in childbirth back in 2018.
Oh, the cruelty of it. She saved his life but erased herself from it. That's a heavy price.
Absolutely devastating. Meanwhile, Stewart manages to connect with the AR1, Frederick, and Anne. Va, back in whatever form she exists in AR1, she knows they need help, serious help. She reaches out to the only expert she trusts on this stuff, Robert
Timus, the old alien adversary, who's now just an old man living quietly in Dalston in this reality. Why him?
Because despite everything, Va respects his knowledge. His grasp of temporal physics is maybe unparalleled. And Timus looks at the situation. He thinks saving Mark, just one ordinary guy, caused too big a ripple. The timeline couldn't absorb it smoothly, so it fractured, creating AR1.
So what's his solution?
Something counterintuitive. Something massive. He figures they need an even bigger shock to the system. Something so huge it forces a total reset.
Bigger than rewriting someone's entire family history. What could be bigger?
Go back to 1588. Give Queen Elizabeth I antibiotics.
Why Elizabeth I? Why antibiotics?
Okay, so Timus's logic is, well, galaxy brain stuff. 1588, Spanish Armada. A pivotal moment, right? England wins, becomes a major naval power, Protestantism solidifies. Elizabeth gave that famous speech at Tilbury, rallied the troops. History says she was ill around then.
So Timus thinks if they make her really sick, or maybe she even dies.
Exactly. No Tilbury speech.
Yeah.
Maybe the English forces lose heart. Maybe the Armada wins. Spain takes England. Catholicism possibly returns. The entire course of Western history changes. Geopolitics, religion, power structures, everything shifts.
The idea being the change is so catastrophic, the timeline can't handle it and just snaps back.
Right.
Reverts to the last stable point, hopefully their original reality.
That's the gamble. A world-altering event to fix a personal one. But before they can even try this insane plan, another problem pops up. Smithers.
Ah, the reporter. The other stranger who showed up at Molly's cottage.
Right. He didn't just disappear. He's been digging. Used a police contact, Sergeant Murray. Finds out that in this reality, Jenny Evans is officially dead. But he knows the woman he met isn't dead. And he learns she somehow vanished from a locked police cell fit. Mark had called the cops on her when she showed up, claiming to be his dead wife.
So Smithers smells a massive story, an impossible story.
The biggest story ever. Time travel. He corners them, blackmails them, demands everything, all the details.
Stewart's trapped again. What does he do?
Buys time. Promises Smithers the full exclusive, everything he wants, at High Cross Castle the next morning. The pressure is just immense.
So High Cross Castle, the next morning. Showdown time.
Pretty much. Stewart showed Smithers the Traveler, the time bubble. Proof. Smithers sees it, realizes it's real, and he panics. Pulls a gun, fires a shot.
Wow.
And Va reacts instantly. Pure instinct, honed over, 1,600 years. She doesn't kill him. She just sends him away, transports him instantly to July 10th, 1800.
Just plucks him out of the situation and drops him 2 centuries earlier. Problem solved, temporarily. Brutal efficiency.
Keeps the group safe, keeps the secret. With Smithers gone, Stewart and Jenny finally proceed with the Elizabeth plan.
How do they actually do it? Do they go meet the Queen?
No, they're incredibly careful about contamination. Stewart stays inside the main traveler bubble, just watching 1588. Then, he uses a feature Va developed, extends just a small hand-sized bubble field out from the main one, 7 times over 7 nights.
And he uses that hand bubble, too.
To reach into the Queen's chambers and crush Pill's antibiotics, presumably into her water jug, treats her assumed pneumonia without ever physically entering the room or leaving modern germs behind. Minimal direct interaction, maximum intended effect, incapacitate the Queen.
Okay. They administer the cure. They pull back to 2024, expecting what? Home, AR1 stability.
They expect something better. What they get is far, far worse. Alternate reality 2, AR2, the Islamic Caliphate, the Elizabethan Gambit failed. Catastrophic.
The landscape itself tells the story, right? The cast
Totally changed. Minarets on the towers. Golden domes. It's not high cross as they know it. Va, Frederick, Frankie, Anne. They're there, but different again. Speaking a language Stewart and Jenny don't recognize, Va explains they're just her students now in this reality, learning about lost histories.
So Va fills them in. What happened in AR2's history?
It's grim. The Elizabethan plan backfired somehow or didn't work as intended. The Spanish Armada still won. England fell. Later, all of Europe lost a huge 10-year war against the Islamic Empire.
And the consequences.
Total cultural erasure. Va says museums, art, British law, history books, all destroyed. London is described as monochromatic. Signs are in Arabic. People are subdued.
Controlled.
Highly. The radio house could be on all day by law. Constant propaganda, constant monitoring. Disobedience, severely punished. Even Themis, who still exists with some kind of lordship title, is isolated, unreachable. The new regime doesn't trust the old nobility.
So the attempt to fix AR1 created something infinitely worse. Stewart must be reeling.
Completely. He realizes the fix failed spectacularly. He and Jenny need confirmation, need to understand how it went wrong. They borrow some rough coats, blend in, and take another trip back to 1900 to find an everyman library.
To check the history books in that timeline.
Exactly. And the books confirm it. Elizabeth Mack? I never gave the Tilbury speech. The Armada won. Their intervention worked. In a way, Elizabeth got sick, but the outcome was the opposite of Themis's prediction. It didn't reset anything, it just paved the way for a different, darker future.
Okay, they're stuck in AR2, this grim caliphate reality. What now? Do they just try another huge historical intervention?
Thankfully, no. Back in AR2, Va manages to communicate again with Themis, the isolated, elderly Themis. And he's had a rethink, a final hypothesis.
He figures out where they went wrong.
He thinks so. He concludes the real problem, the original instability, wasn't Val leaving him ages ago, or Mark's death, or even the Elizabethan plan. It was something much smaller, much more fundamental, tied to Stewart and Frankie.
Their relationship.
Exactly. Teaser calls it the hub. He pinpoints the absolute origin of their stable reality, the reality they started in, to the moment Frankie answered Stewart's advert.
The ad Stewart placed in a gay magazine back in August 2017, looking for friendship. Why was that the key?
Because Stewart suddenly remembers something crucial. He placed that ad using his mobile phone. Right after placing it, he lost the phone. Had to get a new one 3 days later.
Okay, so
Themis theorizes, and Va agrees, that if Stewart hadn't lost his phone, he probably would log back in, maybe got cold feet, deleted the ad before Frankie ever saw it. Their meeting, their entire relationship, the foundation of their stable life with the twins. It all hinged on that lost phone, preventing Stewart from changing his mind.
a lost phone becomes the anchor point for an entire reality. That's surprisingly mundane and incredibly specific.
It suggests the timeline, or reality, or whatever you want to call it, isn't just about big historical events. It's about connections, specific human connections. And theirs was the linchpin.
So the solution isn't another massive shockwave like the Elizabeth plan.
No, it's the opposite. Minimal intervention, surgical precision. Go back and remove the instability at its source. Go back and steal Stewart's phone before he loses it.
Steal his own phone to stop himself from deleting the ad he hadn't deleted yet because he'd lost the phone he would have used to delete it. My head hurts.
Yeah, temporal mechanics are fun like that. So Stewart and Jenny gear up for one last trip, back to August 21st, 2017, to Stewart's old flat in Porchester Square before Frankie moved in and redecorated.
How do they avoid messing things up further, jumping from AR2?
They use that virtual time travel trick Vaugh taught them. Jump back to a neutral point, first 1952, apparently stable across timelines, then forward to 2017 from there. Less risk of temporal interference.
And the theft itself.
Again, minimal impact. Stewart uses that hand-sized bubble function, reaches through time into his old bedroom, snags the mobile phone off the charger where he left it overnight, doesn't disturb anything else, just takes the phone.
A tiny action to fix a cosmic mess. So they jump back to 2024.
The first sign it worked. The car they'd been using in AR1, which had bizarrely reappeared when they got back from 1588, was gone again. Reality had snapped back. The timeline corrected.
They go home to Frankie and Stewart's place.
Yeah. They find Frankie. Everything looks normal. The house, the life, it's back. But there's one weird, lingering change.
What is it?
Frankie. He's slim. Stewart notices immediately his, quote, lack of belly. The temporal recalibration somehow shaved about 50 pounds off him. No explanation given. Just a random physical side effect of resetting the universe.
That is bizarrely specific. And Jenny, what happens to her?
She goes back to her flat. It's empty, familiar. The reality where Mark lived had a son. That's gone. She only has the video on her phone as proof it ever existed, even for a short while. She has to accept being a widow again. And something has changed in her. She decides to finally pursue that journalism degree she'd put off. Finds a new path.
A non-temporal consequence, at least. What about the others?
Timmis.
Smithers.
Timus. Well, after giving them the final key, he passed away shortly after. Just fell asleep in his chair. Va was apparently devastated. Called him the closest thing she had to family, genetically speaking.
Wow. After all that antagonism. And Smithers. The reporter Va dumped in 1800.
They didn't leave him there. Once reality was stable, they went back and picked him up just moments after they dropped him off. Understandably, he was pretty shaken.
I bet. What happens to him now? He knows everything.
This is maybe the weirdest twist.
Yeah.
Anne Linzell, remember, AR1 barrister Anne, who is really in Anne Boleyn, she somehow becomes his legal advisor, helps him process the trauma, and then she becomes his driving instructor.
Wait, Anne Boleyn teaches the blackmailer how to drive.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
He's still a freelance reporter, maybe a private detective too, but he's definitely keeping quiet about time travel. You don't cross Anne Boleyn and her very strange, very powerful friends, especially when she's grading your parallel parking.
The sheer absurdity. It speaks volumes about how random the final state is, doesn't it?
Completely. And Stewart and Frankie. Their relationship seems stronger, actually. Back to their usual banter.
Yeah.
Frankie jokes Stewart smells like a young, virile Henry VIII. And the twins, Bonnie and Sarah, they know the truth now about time travel, about Anne. And according to Molly, they just accepted it. Modern kids, eh? Very different reaction to Molly's own abduction experience back in 1801.
So the chaos ends. Not with a bang, but with a stolen mobile phone. They fought off reality collapse to protect their normal, slightly weird domestic life. #tag outro.
So when you boil it all down, this entire massive crisis, multiple realities, geopolitical shifts, near apocalypse, it all stemmed from one woman's grief and got solved by essentially correcting a minor technological mishap. Stealing a phone.
It really throws the idea of significant events into question, doesn't it? The huge intervention with Elizabeth I failed spectacularly, made things worse. But tweaking the circumstances of how two guys met in 2017, that was the key to restoring baseline reality.
It suggests the universe, or the timeline, maybe prioritizes certain connections. The fundamental bonds between people, maybe those are more structurally important than who wins a battle or sits on a throne.
But it wasn't a clean reset, was it? There were consequences left over. Frankie's inexplicable weight loss, Smithers knowing the secret, now weirdly entangled with Anne. We saw how fragile reality is, how easily AR2, the caliphate, could emerge from one person getting sick.
But that final detail, Frankie's weight,
Yeah.
it lingers, doesn't it? If the whole universe recalibrated itself, mathematically sorting everything back into place, why that specific personal physical change? What does that tell us?
Does it mean some outcomes are just random noise? Arbitrary glitches in the matrix, even when the big equations balance out?
Maybe. It definitely makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What tiny, seemingly insignificant changes might exist in our own reality right now?
Right.
Things that are the leftover ripples from some corrected timeline, some averted disaster centuries ago, a lost pair of keys, a missed train, a different number on the bathroom scale.
Could the life you're living be subtly different because of a forgotten umbrella in 1750? A fascinating and slightly unsettling thought.
Until next time, keep digging.
And yeah, maybe keep track of your phone.